Cool. So just while that's starting up, so I'm Bethan Vincent. I normally start this talk by making a joke about, because I'd normally do this down in London or Brighton, about how great the weather is down south, but actually I'm more up north than normal. So I'm actually from York. So down in York, has my stuff come out yet? No. And I'm here today to talk about a project I ran at a company I used to work at about anonymous recruitment. So just out of interest, has anyone heard of anonymous recruitment, been through an anonymous recruitment process or anything like that? Hands up. Oh, a couple of people. Oh, quite a lot of people. That's excellent. I'm one of those awful speakers as well who demands audience participation, so no apologies for that. And just out of interest, the people who put their hands up, who found it a really good, enjoyable experience? Okay, and this sets the stage for my talk. So yay, I'm Bethan, Marketing Director at NetSales. We're a product development agency based in York, so we build tech stuff for web and mobile. I'm not going to bore you with it, that's not what you're here to hear about, but if you want to find out more, just come and chat to me. I used to be marketing at Bytemark, which used to be a sponsor of here, and Sam Beckham used to work there as well, and that's how I know Sam. And at Bytemark, we had an anonymous recruitment process, and it was actually a platform we built entirely ourselves from scratch, Ruby on Rails. And essentially, we did this because we realized in hiring, there's a lot of bias. There's a lot of assumption. There's a lot of kind of unwritten rules about how people feel they should act and how I think interviewers as well feel they should judge people. And we realized that we needed to do something about this. It's not a great statistic and it's not as good as it should be, but Bytemark at the time had a 20% non-male development team, which for York, if you know York at all, it's like the whitest dude place ever. That's actually pretty good. And we wanted more diverse people within our team, so we realized we had to do something about it. So we built this kind of fancy process. I'm not going to lie, the UI wasn't my favorite. But essentially how it worked is you applied with a mobile phone number. So that was your kind of anonymization. And that's how we identified you. You then generated a handle, which was kind of like a Twitter handle. So people called themselves like Purple Cow Moon and things like that, which was quite fun. I think Sam, hopefully you won't mind me sharing this, but his name was Tyrannosaurus Rex when he applied, which I thought was pretty good. And you basically gave us a cover letter, and we said in the cover letter, please anonymize yourself, don't give anything away about what school you went to or anything like that would kind of give any personal characteristics away. And then a list of skills, so that was a list of skills you had. They could be technical or non-technical, and a list of skills you wanted to develop. And then obviously there was disability declaration and things like that due to legal reasons. So yeah, marketing was really happy. We got a load of press coverage out of it. We felt pretty chuffed with ourselves. We went around and kind of said, look, this is what we're doing. And yeah, we pretty much solved recruitment. That's my talk over. A couple of minutes in, it was all great. But unfortunately, we were noticing an interesting pattern. So we pushed the platform live. We were running hiring round after hiring round through the platform. And what we noticed was that it wasn't improving diversity. We weren't getting a diverse range of applicants through. We were still getting our traditional base, which was white males. I mean, we couldn't tell that for everyone, but the people we were hiring were still white males, and we knew we still had a problem. So what do you do when you have a problem in tech? You've got to realize that you do not equal your users. So we didn't equal our applicants. And I think we'd made a bunch of assumptions about how a platform should work and how a recruitment process should work without actually asking anyone, without actually going out to our target audience and doing any kind of product research, user testing, or anything like that. So that's essentially what we decided to do. And it's the results of that research that I'm going to talk to you about and hopefully give you some ideas, thoughts you can take away and apply to your own recruitment processes. Unfortunately, because I don't work for the company anymore, I don't have access to the hard data. I can't give you that. But we essentially did a lot of the research through talking to people at conferences, literally doing kind of whiteboard exercises, and I ran a lot of those interviews. So it is anecdotal. I hold my hands up to that, but I actually think the stories that came out of it were more interesting than potentially the hard data. It gives you the what, but it doesn't give you the why. So what did we learn? We spoke to applicants, successful applicants, unsuccessful applicants, people at conferences, people in our network, like family, friends, anyone we could get our hands on, basically, because we wanted a large sample set. And we noticed 5 really clear trends. So what was really interesting was that in our process, we were asking people to talk about their skills, right? We asked them for 5 skills they had, 5 skills they wanted to have. And predominantly when people entered that information, they talked about their technical skills. They kind of said like, I'm proficient with Docker, Linux, Vue.js, whatever. Or if it was for maybe a more marketing role, they talk about, I can do SEO, I can do pay-per-click. And no one talked about their soft skills really. And I think potentially they're a bit embarrassed to do so, because when we were speaking to people about, when you apply for a job, what are you most proud of? What do you want to share? And people would say, well, I think I'm a great member of the team. I really listen to other people. I'm really empathetic. I really get along with people. Or they might say things like, I just really enjoy working with other people and solving problems with them. Or I'm a really good team leader. I get really great feedback from my team. And actually, when we broke down this information, it was statistically more likely women would say this about themselves. Yet our process was designed to almost filter out this information. There was no space to talk about your technical skills because we hadn't made it explicit. We just said, list your skills. And because of the way recruitment is done and the way society kind of codifies recruitment, people thought they had to list hard skills. And so this was kind of problem number 1. So how do you get people to list their soft skills? And I've kind of given away the answer. You've got to be really explicit in asking for them. If you don't ask, you don't get. And you have to have a company culture that literally puts, I know the terminology here is a bit wrong. People call them core skills or soft skills, but puts them on a par with hard technical skills. Because I've seen this in recruiting for my own teams. To be perfectly honest, I don't care if you're like a full stack marketeer who's got experience in like X, Y, and Z. If you can't work with other people, which is predominantly what we do day to day, you're not going to work. You're not going to produce anything of value to me or the company. You're going to bring down my team. Why would I want to hire you? So not only will this hopefully improve the kind of experience your candidates will get and make maybe a more diverse range of people apply to you, you're also going to get better candidates and a better feel for the candidates by explicitly asking them for this information. And my HDMI's gone off. Is that source detect? This is going so well from a technical perspective. Okay, right. What I'm going to do is I'm literally just going to talk you through it on my screen, if that's okay. Oh my God, I've got a million tabs open. That's fine. Okay, so number 2, job seekers want a human connection. If you think about it, when you've applied to somewhere, when you've really wanted a job, right? And it's normally, you haven't just seen the job online and applied to it. It's normally you've spoken to someone at an event and they've told you like, this company's really great to work for. I really love my job. Or you know someone who works there, or you've seen them at a conference. You've interacted with someone on a human level. Our process completely removed any sense of interacting with a person before you came to the interview. And this was a huge problem. And just to give a bit of an anecdote about this, so our HR director, Pam, she was a person, when someone texted in with their application, she would kind of text them back being like, hey, thanks for your application. We'll be in touch in, 2 weeks or whenever the timescale was, from Pam. And this isn't just one person saying this. Most applicants thought Pam stood for personal application manager, like she was a chatbot. That was how inhuman we made our process feel. So what I would actually urge you, and this is going against the whole anonymous recruitment thing in itself, is proactively go out and talk to potential candidates. Get your company in front of them. Sponsor events like this. Go to meetups. Chat to people. Give them a sense of your company. Just with my marketing hat on, if you've got a recruitment page, show videos, show images of actual people who work at your company. It's that human connection that's going to excite people, engage people. And also, to be honest, And I don't know if any other people have done this in the room, but when I wanted to join net sales, having worked in tech for a while, I've worked in some environments where, as a woman, I hadn't felt very comfortable. Not Bite Mark, but a couple of others. And before I joined net sales, I literally emailed one of their female engineers out of the blue and said, like, hey, I'm thinking of accepting this position with this company. Like, can you just give me the lowdown on what it's like here as a woman? And you'd be surprised. I've talked about this with other people, and a lot of people are doing this. If you are a minority in tech, you will reach out to other minorities and be like, yo, tell me what's up. Don't let people go around you to do this. Actively facilitate it. Put contact details on your recruitment page of people can contact and ask questions about the company. And to be honest, if you're too afraid to do that and you're too afraid of the answers that will come out, you have a problem. It's simple as that, really. And now my laptop's gone off. So it's okay, we're back on. So another point is tests, technical tests. Put your hands up if you love a technical test. Yeah, thought so. Lengthy tests, lengthy technical tests, or any kind of at-home exercise is not inclusive. And it's not inclusive because, let's say, for example, you're a working mum. When you get home, your time is devoted to childcare. It's devoted to other activities that aren't work. And we have this fallacy in tech that people have to give 110%. You know, you've got to work this 80-hour week or whatever to be successful. People don't have time. They have literal lives they want to lead. And if you are penalizing them by making them go and do a 4-hour test, they're not going to apply to you. They're not going to want to do that process. You're putting them off. You're putting them on the back foot before they've even got the foot in the door at your company. If that's their experience of you, they're going to worry about what it's like when they actually work with you. And I know technical tests are useful in some sense. You do need to gauge people's skills at some point. And some companies just, they say provide a GitHub, login, profile. In marketing, we ask for portfolios. That can be a method. And I was actually speaking to someone from the US the other day, and she was like, when I watch a technical test, I know within 2 minutes if they can do it. Just from the way they navigate, just from the way they approach the problem. So just have a think. If you do have technical tests as part of your recruitment process, just have a think about the length of them. Can you reduce them? Do you even need them? Is it really are you really going to get bad candidates through at that point if you haven't stress test them? That's just a thought. So number 4, and this is kind of a marketing point, but your job listing is just as important as the application process itself. So many job listings don't say salary on them for a start, which is problematic for so many reasons. But historically, if you're in a group that has been historically underpaid, i.e. women or people of colour, that puts you at a massive disadvantage because you're negotiating from the last salary you had, not the salary you should be on. Also, asking people for past salaries is problematic in of itself. But also alongside that, when you put stuff like flexible working or work from home, be really clear about what that is. I know so many people who say, like, when it says like flexible working, if it doesn't clarify that, I know it's kind of bullshit. Basically, I know they don't want to admit flexible working is like, you can come in at 9:30 instead of 9. And you still have to leave at the same time. Yeah, it's ridiculous. And I think if you're too afraid to clarify it because you think it's going to put people off, again, you have a bit of a problem on your hands. And that's something you need to look at further. So just think about when you're putting stuff on a job profile, obviously there are things like gender decoders you can do. Gendered language is an issue. There are tools out there. If anyone's interested, I can give them the link after this. But also think about like actually the substance of it. What information are you disclosing? Are you disclosing enough? Are you giving a sense of the company culture? And by that, I mean, you don't just say you have like a pool table, because that's probably not the impression you want to give to attract minorities in tech. But anyway, give a holistic view and give detailed information. And also if you have people like mental health first aiders, if you have a mental health policy or mental health days off policy or anything like that, be really explicit, because I think we all know that poor mental health is something that our industry historically has had a high proportion of people suffering from. Nothing to be ashamed of. And actually the companies that are really open and embracing to it and to supporting people with issues, whether they're long-term or short-term, actually retain staff longer. There's been a big report into this recently. So it's a really positive thing you can do. Anything you're doing that you're really proud to shout about, make sure it's on the page and don't just hide it. And don't expect candidates to like click around onto your careers page and like onto your site to find this information. Put it on the job listing, make it really easy for people. And finally, I think the real takeaway I got from all of this research was that I had gone into it I identify as a woman, as a minority in tech, and I'd helped build the platform we built. But I went into this process and I was like, I built this for me, but I'm a white woman. I'm not everyone in tech. I don't represent diversity just on my own. We do not equal applicants. And also, the other thing was that if we really care about diversity and inclusion in this industry, people telling us that our platform that we built was wrong was kind of a bit hard to hear. It was a bit problematic. We spent a lot of dev time on it, a lot of resource on it. And to hear it wasn't really working and to see it wasn't really working was a bit like, oh, shit, what do we do now? But we're going to hear things that are problematic if we're listening to groups of people who find the status quo not right for them. And not only should we listen to them, we've actually got to act on it. I think so many companies will hear about things that are wrong or things that make people feel uncomfortable. An example of this, and it's a bit of a random example, is that toilets aren't gender neutral and inclusive if they don't have sinks in the cubicle. People in this room will understand what I mean. Thinking about things like that and a change like that is going to cost your company money, essentially, to rectify. And it's going to be problematic, but it's going to help a whole group of people. So basically just suck it up and do it. Don't just say you want to do it, do something. That's the whole takeaway about this talk, is listen to people and actually do something about it. So I did have a side being like with all my details on, but if you want to follow me on Twitter, I'm at Bethan Vincent. I'm actually building a platform off the back of this research called Irreplaceable, which will be a recruitment platform thing. I haven't really sketched it out yet. If you want to find out more about net sales, come and chat to me. We do some interesting work. And I'm really open to questions. I'm really sorry about the technical issues. It slightly threw me, but hopefully I got some cogent points out by the end.